Stellaris Diary 237 is about reworking Unity Part 1 and about a couple of other things, like identifying problems, design goals, what are they doing, and of course they want to get rid of administrative cap and they want to replace it with Unity. That's the big thing that's all about this. So basic design goals. Unity should be a meaningful resource, valuable, more valuable than it is now. I mean, it starts to be obsolete, right? In the end game, it's nearly obsolete. You have always enough Unity then. And this should also help Spiritualist Empire to become a little bit more relevant beyond roleplay. Number of sources of incidental Unity should be reduced from non-dedicated jobs, like, for example, the bureaucrats. They gave you, I think, enough Unity to ride the game, and you didn't need temples or something like that. If you have bureaucrats, that's mainly enough. Empires that do not focus on Unity but do not completely ignore it should still be able to acquire their Ascension perks by the late game. Yeah, that's kind of like it is now. Kind of ignore Unity a bit, and then you get them later, but eventually you'll get the Ascension perks. Immersive decisions with Unity. Reward immersive decisions with Unity grants whenever possible, because it's important for the society, so it should give you Unity. Internal Empire matters should generally utilize Unity, so maybe they will also use some of the influence tasks that will be replaced by Unity then. So provide more ways to spend Unity, rebalance the way edicts work again. Reduce the oppressive impact of tech rushing by reintroducing some rubber banding mechanics. I mean, that's an interesting thought, but it's conflicting with another thing that's coming right after it, right? Make tall play more viable, preferring to balance tall versus wide play in favor of distinctiveness, and emphasizing differences between hives, machines, megacorps, and normal empires. So the big thing that kills tall at the moment is that you need that your growth will slow down like crazy on bigger planets versus a lot of small planets. A lot of small planets have a lot higher population growth than one big planet. Even if you have like Ecumenopolis to set it off, which gives you 50% more pop growth, and like a couple of lures, this is just weird, because I mean, tall play has traditionally always been tech rushing, like tech rushing tall. That went together. Now, if you reduce the impact of tech rushing, then what is still viable as tall now will become even less viable. So I'm really looking forward curiously what these changes will be, because here it says basically tech rushing is getting nerfed, but this also nerfs tall strategies and make tall play more viable. It kind of doesn't go together in my head, but we'll see. This doesn't necessarily mean that tall Unity-focused empires will be the equal of wide, research-focused ones. They should have some things that they are good at and more competitive in general than they are now. Yeah, I mean, Unity-focused empires are not bad, but you just need the research. It's just a part of the game. Unity-focused empires in the late game should have the benefit to look forward to similar to the repeatable technologies a research-focused empire would have. I'm curious as what that would look like. Maybe it could improve growth. That would be the standard thing, like that you could give your planets some planetary edicts paid for with Unity, with the amount of Unity that you have there, to speed up their development, to maybe to increase stability, to something like that. What are we doing? What are they doing? All means of increasing administrative capacity have been removed. Oh, okay. While there are ways to reduce the empire sprawl generated by various sources, this will be used to help differentiate gameplay between different empire types. Empires will no longer be able to completely mitigate sprawl penalties. Penalties and sprawl generation values have been significantly modified, so it's going back to an old system. The capital designation, for instance, now also reduces empire sprawl generated by pops on the planet. So basically your biggest planet should be your capital, because then you have the biggest impact from that. Empire sprawl from pops minus 25%. Then where will the unity come from? Bureaucrats, priests, managers, synapse drones, coordinators, primary sources of unity. And culture workers have been removed. I don't know if they have been removed or if they have been removed as sources of unity. Because culture clearly is a sign of unity, but okay. Do you have to call them priests? I mean, do bureaucrats increase the unity? I'm not sure. I always found it cool that we had culture workers. So autochthon memorials and similar buildings now increase planetary unity production and themselves produce unity based on the number of ascension perks the Empire has taken. Being monuments, they no longer require workers. Okay, so you don't get jobs and you don't need jobs from that. So what do the autochtons do? Like the heritage site, for example. Produces 2 unity for each ascension perk our empire has taken. So they give you a fixed thing and they give you more unity from jobs. These monuments are now planet unique and can be built by spiritualist empires. So this has 2 things. Like, it stops unity stacking, which I have often done. Which means, like, at a certain point you develop a planet and make it a cultural planet, like an arts planet, an arts and crafts planet if you want so. And that planet will produce the unity, a specialized amount of unity for... Empire doesn't work as much as specializations for other resources, but it works relatively well because you can bring the unity there and you don't need unity buildings then on other planets, which makes the other planets' specializations a lot better, because then they have 1-2 more building slots open to specialize. So it's so-so. Edict's cap system has been removed, so yeah, that has always been... It has been hard to think around. I mean, you basically went for 1 or 2 edicts and it was not very dynamic. You wouldn't change edicts if you could avoid it. Toggled edicts will have monthly unity upkeep, which is modified by empire sprawl. And that makes sense. Each empire has an edicts fund which subsidizes edicts upkeep, reducing the amount you have to pay each month to maintain them. Things that previously increased edict capacity now generally increase the edict's fund. Is that just a renaming? But some civics, texts, and ascension perks have received other thematic modifications. Okay, so we have an edict's fund now. Like it's going in bigger numbers. I think the advantage to that is you can make edicts cost differently, and it's not only a one-time pay. It's a constant pay. So you can have expensive edicts, you can have less expensive edicts, and what you can afford. What is your allowance? That's brought on by the Edicts Fund. And you can see adaptive bureaucracy now changes to Edicts Fund plus 20. Then example 7, bureaucratic. The Imperial Cult will squander any excess Edicts Fund on icons of the God Emperor at the end of the month. Okay, what? Your Edicts Fund is very high, is, for example, an Imperial Cult. So cult-like spiritual things increase the Edicts Fund. So people will be more obedient. That's probably the logic behind that. And then you can have more edicts that they will follow. Several systems that used to cost influence are now paid in unity, as I already thought it would. Planetary decisions that were formerly paid in influence, prices have been adjusted. Yeah, that's a very good thing, because you were always reluctant to use these things, right? Because influence is such a crazy, precious resource, especially at the start of the game. And it doesn't stop. Like, influence is now the influence is going outward. Like it's going for foreign policy. It's going for claiming new things that previously didn't belong to you. So influence is the outreach influence, if that makes sense, the outreach power. And unity is the interior power that you have. Manipulation of internal factions. Factions themselves will now produce unity instead of influence. Now that's going to change the game a lot. The whole unity game will be completely different. I'm curious what they will do with influence then. Since factions are no longer producing influence, a small amount of influence is now generated by your fleet based on power projection, a comparison of your fleet size and empire sprawl. So your fleet will produce influence. I mean, it kind of makes sense. That will also change a lot. Leaders now cost unity to hire rather than energy. They also have a small amount of unity upkeep. Understand that this increases the relative costs of choosing to hire several scientists at the start of the game for exploration purposes or when cycling leader traits, as you are now choosing between traditions and leaders. Yeah. So I kind of like this change. It will make the early game a little bit harder, but it makes leaders kind of more valuable and more valued. It's more of a choice now. Because the leader cost with energy, if you went for a specific strategy, you had a lot more leaders and they were paid. And now kind of they are not paid, but they come out of the society. It's kind of a loyalist thing. And this decreases the importance of energy a lot too. We'll see what this leads to. And for example, the exploration early strategy relied on getting many scientists to explore space around you, which was typical for empires that had a lot of early technology or that would want to go the research route. So that's going to change. And they're going to need unity instead to explore the galaxy and get research for that. That's a very interesting dynamic. And that alone is gonna curb the research. That alone. There doesn't need to be any more changes to the research thing, because that alone is gonna bring research down dramatically. So, an example here. Feudal society. Your leaders do not cost unity upkeep if they are employed, but cannot be dismissed. In addition, your employed governors generate unity equal to their level. That's a new perk. So, some empires go and break all the rules. That's interesting, because then you get attached to your leaders. So, the choice which leader to get is even more important with a feudal society. And this will be better for roleplay. Like in the end, you had big empires and you would just hire and fire until you got the leader that you got with the traits you wanted. And now you get a leader and you have to adapt to that. You get a leader of a choice of 3 or 5 or whatever. And then you need to make a choice between these leaders. And that's going to be a very big disadvantage for multicultural empires, because they cannot control which leaders they get. They're going to get a wild guess of leaders. They can be very lucky, but more often, because they cannot control what they want, they will get something they don't want. So, unispecies empires, monospecies empires will be a lot better then. If you have only one species in your empire, you can pretty much define what you get, for example, erudite and so on. It gives you special bonuses for researchers or for admirals. So this will be the rise of the xenophobes again. by a lot. And also here, your subjects can build starbases, expand their territory, leader cost -50, and subject power relations penalty -50. That's going to be something everyone will experiment with. Most megastructures now cost unity rather than influence. Wow. I mean, it makes sense from the logic, with the exception of any related to travel, such as gateways. So gateways, or that provide living space. So gateways, habitats, ring worlds, influence, and the rest will cost unity, because they improve the internal politics of the empire, right? There's a logic to it. I like that there's a logic to it. Authority bonuses have unsurprisingly undergone some changes again. Several of them related to systems that no longer exist or operate differently now. I mean, I'm kind of tired of changing everything again, but yeah. Since these are pretty big changes, we've decided to put these changes up in a limited duration open beta. This will give us a chance to adjust values, modify some game interactions before the changes get pushed to live later on in the 3.3.x patch cycle. We'll continue improving on them in future custodian releases. So you can test these changes. When can you test these changes? Well, you can test them in the open beta. But the open beta is not yet open. If I can trust this thing. So how the open beta will be run will be released in the next week's dev diary. Open beta should mean that like everyone has access to it if they opt in. That's probably the open beta. We'll see how it works. What else is planned? They'd like Unity to also reflect the resilience of your empire to negative effects. High Unity empire may be more resistant to negative effects deficits, so possibly even have their pops rise up to help repel invaders, but these ideas are still in early development. So there's going to be very, very interesting changes to the game. Some are not fully fleshed out and don't make fully sense, but I believe all in all, there's some interesting ideas in there. I'm kind of on the I'm kind of tired that Stellaris is becoming another game again, but on the other hand, I appreciate the freshness a bit. So let's see if they finally get to where they want to get. I don't think that balance is such a big issue. I really don't. If I play an empire, balance is really the last of my concerns. It's the last of my concerns. It doesn't. Balance only influences my mood if I play multiplayer competitively. Then I would like some balance. Other than that, not at all. So, yeah. I don't know how I feel about getting so many changes done in the name of balance. I hope it will still make sense from the game, and I really hope that the game will be working fine with it. That's the main wish that I have, is that Stellaris is working as intended, because I've seen bugs again, and I'm kind of getting tired of the bugs. So I don't know why the custodian team is suddenly reworking, because that's not what I thought the custodian team would do. I thought the custodian team was there to remove bugs from the game. That's what's really needed. So let's hope they can continue to do that. And let's hope that this new Stellaris release will be working as intended. And then we can discuss over what should be in it. Have a great time until next time and happy gaming. This is Immanuel Khan signing out. See you soon and happy gaming.